welcome back to another episode of the Isn't That Rich podcast. Today we have the pleasure of hosting Tammy Kissing with All-in-One Real Estate. With a remarkable background spanning over 3 decades in the sales and service industry, Tammy brings a wealth of experience to the table. Having navigated the dynamic ebbs and flows of the real estate market, she offers a unique perspective on both the ups and downs. Today, Tammy joins us to provide a comprehensive update on the current state of the Southern Illinois real estate market. Welcome, Tammy. We're thrilled to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited to learn. I just can't wait to talk to you about this year and what you've seen and what you think is going to happen. I think all these real estate agents are fortune tellers, so good to know.
We are not futurists.
Well, before we get really into it, Tammy, tell us a little bit more about your background. Like, how did you get into the real estate market in the first place or become a real estate agent?
I started in July of 2016. I'd spent 10 years in a direct sales company or with a direct sales company in addition to working in our company, but I spent 10 years selling sterling silver line through direct sales, and through that I met Alto, my managing broker. So when I made a Facebook post that said Zapata Designs is closing, she said, "Hey, what are you going to do?" I thought I was being funny. I said, "Sell real estate with you." And there we began.
So you just kind of were having a conversation one day and it started.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love
fun.
Ein too, by the way.
Yeah, she's probably the best in the business. She's national, state boards. I mean, she's very involved.
Yeah, she is the Egyptian Board of Realtor.
Was president.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought, was that last year?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she's pretty great. So.
Yeah, I think she's been it twice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's a real server. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Real servant, yeah.
Did you ever think about getting into real estate before you actually got into real estate?
No, but I'll tell you a little funny thing. We used to live at Lake Egypt, and my favorite thing to do would be to boat the perimeter of the lake and look at people's yards. So I was kind of like a peeping Tam. And I'm like, oh, look at that house. Ooh, why'd they paint it that color?
Oh, you're like that one
that.
TikTok of that guy. He's like driving around looking at the $1 million homes like, gosh, I wish they wouldn't have painted it that color.
There
like
was
trashing them. You know what I'm talking about?
We always told our daughter it was Mary Kate and Ashley's house.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah.
And they believed you?
Well, sure she did.
No, sure she did.
We never took her over to visit them.
Of course not.
No, we got to give them privacy, right? No.
Yeah.
So what areas, so I know some people specialize, when they're in the real estate industry, they specialize in commercial real estate or they're in residential real estate. Maybe they do a lot of, multi-housing.
Right.
So what do you specialize in, or is there something that specifically sticks out to you?
I am residential.
Okay.
And I organically began working with first-time home buyers a lot.
Okay.
And it seemed that I had a lot of veteran home buyers as well. So I became a military relocation specialist.
Wow.
That kind of stuff is, you study, you take a test. And then basically everything you learn is like on the street. Mm-hmm. Your real learning happens by
doing.
Working. Yeah.
By experience.
Yeah. So I also, I'll tell you my funny story. It doesn't make me look good. But so since I started in real estate with All-in-One, they're located in Saline County. So our primary office is in Harrisburg. Yeah. So that's where I went to work for 3 years. I'm geographically challenged.
Me too.
Okay. Then you feel my pain. So I would go there, and I didn't have a clue. Then we had to go to, I think one time I went to Elizabethtown, Golconda. I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. I don't even know where these places are.
You didn't even know they existed.
No, I had to call the office and say, can you tell me where I'm at? So Anyway, so starting in the beginning, I think I had 5 deals terminated before I ever closed one. So I was called the Terminator in our office.
So you weren't that good.
And veterans were asking me, like, hey, Tam, how do you do that termination notice again? Like,
oh, no.
But, you know, so I cut my teeth on really hard stuff because, you know, buyers, you go to a certain point and they'll terminate the deal due to inspections. Maybe they can't get their financing at the last round. So there's various reasons. And, 5 of them. So if you're looking to make a quick buck, you don't start here.
No.
Don't go to real estate. I also have a PSA, which is a pricing strategy advisor certification, and I recently got my residential probate specialist, a C2EX, and that's basically about professionalism in the marketplace. So, yeah, you can do a lot of things, and I do a little bit. Currently, I work with, I'm on our Ed Tech committee, which is educational technology training. That's probably the one thing I actually really do like is, you know, if I could just get every single person to use all our special apps, that'd be great.
Ooh, so you do love the new technology that's out there.
Yeah, I like a lot of it, yeah.
Well, good. So you mentioned one thing. It was military relocation. And I'm really interested in that because I know that's got to be a process. Yeah. It's quick moves, right? You're doing...
Well, by the time they come here, usually, they're settling down.
Okay.
So they're not, they're not 5 years here, 5 years there. Our area, Southern Illinois, is a lot different than the rest of the nation. Maybe some of us have realized that. So we don't have a lot of the, we don't have a military base here. We don't have a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. So Scott Air Force maybe, but they're not moving here.
Right.
So again, by the time they're coming to this area, they're settling down. Maybe they're getting a second home, but there are requirements on their end. And as far as we go, working with them, there's a little bit with VA funding that types of homes, requirements on homes.
Oh, we know all about those requirements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's the longest list I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, I think John Streeter, we did an episode with him, and he brought out the list for what a home is
John Streeter's one of the first financiers or loan specialists that he was like my go-to guy.
Was he?
I learned a lot from him. Yeah.
We always, when we have him on, we're always just amazed by his knowledge. We're like, oh, how did you? Yeah, experience, like you said. Yeah, that's probably how.
I would never want to be on that end. I don't want to be a title professional either. I'm just happy doing what I do.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to get into this because I know everybody is interested to hear what's going on in the real estate market right now. And so I would love for you to give us just kind of a general overview of what's going on in the current real estate market.
Yeah.
Well, basically the same kind of thing is happening all over the place. So we still have high home values. Actually, the national median home value is just under $400,000.
That feels so high.
Do you know what it was?
No, I think it was probably, let's see, if I checked before, 250 to 300 maybe.
Okay, and that was probably before COVID.
Pre-COVID, everything is like COVID was the big transforming factor and everything. It was like a perfect storm, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Low interest rates, which I guess enabled housing prices to go up maybe because we had a huge buyer pool. Mm-hmm. And but new construction is now back to pre-COVID sales. So that's a 5% increase over last year.
Wow.
So probably our highest market time would have been 2020 and early 2021. And then after that, we started seeing decrease. So, but the existing home sales are still below and that's nationally, pre-COVID rates.
Existing home sales, meaning there's just not enough.
Pre-existing homes.
Oh.
So there's not a lot
sorry.
of homes that are already built that are going up for sale.
Up for market.
Right. And let's think about that for a moment. You bought a home either pre-COVID, maybe paid it off, or you bought a home when interest rates were 3%.
Yeah.
Are you going to sell that home?
No.
Heck no, I'm staying in my 3% mortgage.
That's right.
You're not selling that,
Right.
getting in a new mortgage for sure.
Yeah, and I've talked to a couple clients that bought during that time, and so they have a good appreciation on their home, but they bought with a 3-point-something% interest, maybe even down to 2.6 some, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe you bought before and you refinanced, but anyway, so maybe you'll make $100,000, but you're gonna have to spend that same amount of money at a 7.8% interest rate.
Right.
You've
Not gonna
swallowed
do
up
it.
all your equity.
Right.
So I think that's why homes aren't on the market as much, and buyers are really cautious too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I always think that's amazing because, I live down by Lake of Egypt, and there's 4 or 5 homes for sale. And I think we're the only road probably that is seeing those 4 or 5 homes for sale on their street. And I just find it interesting that the pricing still seems to be fairly high.
Values are remaining.
Yeah.
They haven't gone down.
No.
And I feel like in Southern Illinois, I remember when the housing price, when it first started, and we were just kind of like, how is this happening? And I remember I talked to a couple veteran real estate brokers that have been in industry for 30 years, and they're like, yeah, we've never seen this ever here at all, ever. Not even sure if it's ever been a seller's market in Southern Illinois. And again, basically it was a perfect storm. We had, it was easy to get funding.
Right.
It was really easy. And the rates were so low, people were able to purchase a secondary home.
Right.
And the lakes, I remember I had a client back then who was looking at, he was looking at 5 lakes. He's from Memphis, and so he was doing a 3-hour circle radius around his home. And he said every lake, you couldn't get a property.
I remember
it was
that.
really hard. So he had to bump his budget up about $80,000, $85,000 to be able to get a home. But the interest rates were low, and he was able to do it. So
yeah, if you can make it work while the interest rates are low. But right now, it's I'm noticing even still the pricing on the lakes are so. I was back in Minnesota a couple of weeks ago, and man, the homes, I always check. So I'm from Minnesota. I like to just look at the housing prices and just to see if we ever want to buy a home for when we go back and visit. And the kids all love to fish, and Tom loves to fish. And so I always look for a lake home up there.
a good fishing lake.
A good fishing lake. And I grew up on one. And so there's nothing in our price range that I would do for a second home up there right now on
Oh my
a
gosh,
lake.
a 600 square foot cabin on the water, and it's not even in a good, spacious area, is pushing 400,000.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seems crazy to me. I know even to buy a lot there was a lot on Mille Lacs Lake where I grew up, and it was upwards of 350, and I'm like, it's not even 100 feet on the lake. It just is crazy to me. So just for the property, not even with any infrastructure on it yet. So blows my mind.
Yeah.
So have you seen, now the interest rates obviously are creeping back up a lot. Have you seen even a little bit to where the home prices are coming down at all, or no?
No.
Still hanging out? And do you think that's because people are like, well, if I'm going to sell my home, I have to make a bigger buck for it to go pay for another home to afford the interest rate on it, right?
Well, the value's there now. I mean, we run our comps.
Yeah.
And so you're doing comparables, and you're comparing like for like, and that's the value.
So when you say that's the value,
why would they go down?
They're not going to go down because
why would
we've
they?
moved everything
Right.
up. So
And I feel like that was Southern Illinois' big finally an appreciation, you know, because I don't think that we experienced that over the years. So, yeah.
Has that pushed a lot of potential home buyers out, though?
Well, there's a couple things that make home buying difficult, or that makes it hard for buyers. One is a lot of buyers still are first-time home buyers. A lot of them, I mean, the ones that would be secondary, saying moving from their first home to their forever home, they're kind of established, and they can make the move, but they're still having trouble reconciling the new value with what they think it ought to be. So that's been a challenge with several of my clients. The other thing is that first-time home buyers, you know, we're still dealing with a market that doesn't have any money. They might have a good income, but they don't have any money, so they're still buying with 3% down or less. So that interest rate plus the real estate taxes in our area are really high.
They are extremely high on the national, compared nationally.
Yes, we are very high, and that alone is enough to kick people down a notch. So the interest rates, you know, I'm old. I'm older than you guys. So the interest rates now are normal.
That's what I keep hearing. That's what
everyone said. You don't know that. You just hear that.
Yeah.
But when we started buying, our first home purchase was a contract for deed, and we were paying 10%, and we thought we had a deal.
Yeah.
So 12%. The first time we refinanced to 6%, we were totally excited.
Yeah. I love hearing about this because you hear it on TikTok and everything. It's like, you know, our parents buy these homes and they always say the interest rate now is not even what it used. This is not even normal interest rate, or, you know, it's still not back to when I was growing up. But then we have to think about also like income back then, like the percent of income and housing, like prices. What the prices were back then too. So I love to hear about, you know, the interest rate compared to then, and then also take into consideration what people were making at salaries. So what do you think about, do you have any, because were you in real estate back when those prices, the interest rates were so much higher? No, not yet.
We were in business.
You were in business.
So we were, you know, maxing out credit cards and buying a building and trying to buy inventory and stuff like that. So we had a lot of experience with those rates, building a family, you know, enlarging a shop and a warehouse and home. So we experienced that, but we bought, we moved from the lake, I think 8% maybe was probably our first, 8-something.
Sure.
Was probably our first actual home mortgage after we did the contract for deed.
Interesting. So, yeah, I love to hear what they actually were, you know, what people experience. So
yeah.
We talk about people buying a home, obviously, but for the people that are kind of kicked out of the market and are looking to rent, do people come to you?
I get a lot of calls, but I don't work with, I'm not a property manager.
Right. Sure. But I guess so are you seeing where it's like hard to find a place to rent too?
Oh,
yeah, it's like, what the heck are people supposed to do? And then I think about all these places we're getting, like this.
They're full
the
before
meat packing plant and the FedEx and all these big places.
It seems like jobs are there.
Yeah, like we're getting all these jobs. And I remember Mayor Absher's like State of the City address last year was like, he told everybody at this chamber luncheon, like, we need people to have places to live. So he said, if you're interested in building any kind of apartments or rental property, like,
and we have several that are going in,
but
they're full.
They're filled already.
Like immediately.
So they're filled before they're even finished built.
You put your name on the list, and when the section is complete, I mean, you're moving in before there's gravel on the dirt.
Right.
You're moving in as soon as you can get a key to the door.
So it is. Do you feel that rental prices are also inflated right now?
Yeah. Rental prices go with the market, and I think that's another thing maybe people don't quite understand. You know, I hear a lot of talk about, well, we don't have to pay real estate taxes. Well, that's not true. Mm-hmm. You are paying real estate taxes for the person who owns the property.
Right.
So you build his portfolio. You're not building anything for yourself. So your rent includes the cost of the property, the real estate taxes,
insurance
that they're paying, and an increase because they have to maintain. So there's usually a percentage above the fixed hard cost. There's a percentage above that they want to and have to acquire from you. So you are paying all of those things. Yeah. It's just called one lump sum.
It was just at a fixed monthly rate, right?
That's
so you're not paying.
Then you don't own any of it.
Right.
And you can do the same thing when you escrow your real estate taxes and your insurance. Mm-hmm. It's still a fixed payment.
Right.
My next question from the renter question is, do you have a lot of people come to you that want to buy homes or duplexes to rent out still in this market?
Yeah, actually, I'm working with a client. I have two investor clients. One is kind of dumping his rental properties as they become available, or, you know, as the tenants' contracts are up. And then I have one that's from this area, and she's from here, but she doesn't live here anymore, and she wants to start investing in the area.
So one person doesn't want to do it anymore, one person does. That's what you're saying. Mm-hmm. I saw a video. Somebody was like, why would I be an investor right now with these interest rates and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know. It's just like one of those things that I don't know. Like it's like right now they're making a decision about not to be a real estate investor when this is like, has a perfect track record of being
right.
The best way to get rich.
Right.
Is what I'm saying.
I think Famous Amos started baking his cookies when sugar was at an all-time high.
Yeah. I love that analogy.
You can't just use that. I tell my clients too, you kind of got to go with your gut. You can look at property and say, you know, check off boxes or say, oh, this will be good. And, well, we don't know what the future holds, really. Yeah. Am I going to be able to, if I buy this house and live in here, do you think I'll be able to get such and such or whatever? Well, I mean, yeah, if everything stays the same, but we don't know. Right. We don't have a clue. But still, you kind of got to go with your gut.
Mm-hmm. I would say real estate is always, there's a limited amount of it, right? Mm-hmm. So it's always going to have probably be a safer investment
will always be a safer investment
than some of the other ways people can invest their money.
People are always buying. People are always selling. People are always moving. Yeah. They're coming. They're going. They're building families and wanting to not be a renter. They want to grow. I mean, it's the biggest investment, the best investment you will ever make.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So do it.
Yeah.
What are some typical home buyer trends right now? I think this is an interesting question. Like, what are people really interested in when they're buying a home? Like, what's a non-negotiable for them?
To people?
Because, like, I think about people. Really? Because I think about people maybe building a home or redoing a home.
Renovating?
Well, Ashley's building a home right now. So.
Yeah, but that's not why I'm interested in this. I just really am interested to know.
I would never want to build a home. Ever.
I'll probably never do it again, Tammy. But no. I've learned a lot, so it's good. But yeah, what are people looking for?
Well,
specific kind of tiling. I don't know.
They want it to be perfect. So whatever their personal interest is, I don't know why the soaker tubs are such a big thing because nobody takes a bath. But
I take a bath.
Gotta have a soaker tub in the primary bedroom.
Oh, that's good to know. So if you're building, put in a soak tub.
If you plan on getting rid of it, you got to have a tiled shower. His and her vanities.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Surprisingly, they tend to like flooring, no carpet, flooring throughout. And hardwood's not even the primary choice. So, they kind of like a laminate, a luxury vinyl, waterproof, I guess. They seem to think they're going to flood their bathrooms and kitchens all the time.
No one wants old mold in their bathroom. That's all I can think of when I hear carpet or, that's
carpet
all I
in
can
bathrooms.
Ugh.
I know.
I don't know if I could if I was going to buy a house right now and it had carpet in it, I don't know if I could do it.
I know.
It sounds super snotty, but
yeah.
No, you don't put carpet in bathrooms. Mm-mm. But that was
I'm
big.
talking anywhere.
That was fancy back then.
Oh, I know.
Back in the day, carpet in the kitchen.
Or raking your carpet.
Oh, yeah. Shag. My mom and dad had like tricolor blue shag.
Yeah.
It was really something.
Anything else people are wanting in homes?
I want to know
pools, no pools.
Right. No, that's true.
Pools, no pools?
Pool, no pool.
I'll tell you what. If you're looking at two houses and one has a nice pool and one doesn't, you're probably going to sell the one with the pool.
Yeah.
It's a nice add-on. It's extraordinarily expensive to put in.
Oh, yeah.
I bought chlorine for my mom this summer, and I was like, how do you afford to feed anybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's extraordinarily expensive to put in, but it's a great add-on when you buy because you're not paying $120,000 for that pool.
Right. And I think of the area we live in, too. It's so blasted hot here in the summer. It is so hot. And so to have a pool, it's almost a necessity. And I didn't get that before. I'm like, go jump in a lake. No, around here, you're going to want a pool.
Yeah. Yeah, unless you live on a beautiful strip cut.
Yeah.
And, we get a lot more months usage of a pool than I thought we did.
Yeah.
But I kind of counted it up because I'm going to get a pool.
You're going to? We open ours April to November. I mean, we close it the first weekend of November. That's
heater?
how long.
You have a heater in it?
We do. We don't use it.
You never use it, really?
It is so expensive to heat.
Oh.
It burns
and you
gas.
still keep it open till November?
We do. We turn.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then it's done with. But
yeah, I think it's good.
I have another question for you because I am curious about the people who are looking for homes. Is there a specific demographic in Southern Illinois that you're constantly seeing as a buyer right now?
First-time home buyers.
First-time home buyers.
And the age of first-time home buyers is
increasing?
Yeah.
Going up?
Yes. So, first-time home buyers aren't in their 20s. They're like a lot of times in their early 30s, mid-30s.
Yeah.
And actually, I guess you could qualify as a first-time home buyer if it's been, first-time home buyer products, I guess, if it's been a handful of years since you've owned a home.
Okay.
But, and downsizers. So I've worked with them a bit.
I feel like there's that gap too. People maybe Ashley's age are waiting longer to buy a home, to stop renting.
And they're keeping their homes longer.
Can't afford the homes that are on the market today, so they're waiting longer. Maybe is that maybe a trend that you're seeing?
Yes, that's why the age is up for them. First-time home buyers, they're older. And they keep the home, so they're not really looking for a starter.
Okay.
They're looking for a home that they can live in for 10, 15 years.
Wow. That's interesting. I wouldn't think, because as a first-time home, I think, get something that you can handle for 5 years.
Isn't that little thing cute? That's the one you should get.
Yeah.
Get that cute little bungalow. That's cute. Work on it. Do some work. No.
People want...
They don't want to work.
No one
wants
wants
it
to...
done.
I don't want to rip the carpet up.
No one wants to do that.
No.
Mm-mm.
Interesting.
They want it already done. And they want it already done for the price they want to pay.
Yeah. So, do you have any tips for people who are navigating the market right now? Like, as a buyer or a seller, they're looking to sell their home or buy something. What are some tips for them?
Couple things. People, and this kind of is, so do you know what an AVM is, an automated valuing system?
No, tell us.
That's the Zillow's estimate.
Oh.
I hate the Zestimate.
I do too. Every Zestimate. And people tend to believe it. And so they'll say, you know, I looked this house up. This house is only worth such and such. Well, where'd you find that out? Well, Zillow says it's only worth such and such. Well, has Zillow been here?
Right.
Did they go in the home? Did they appraise the home? No, they're casting a broad net, and homes about this size in this region sell for about this price. Oh, that's the one thing I wish we didn't have, is the Zillow's estimate. And then on the flip side, sellers will say, what? It says my house is only worth this much. Like, well,
let's do a market.
Yeah, we'll do a market analysis, and that's the thing. I guess for buyers, I wish they would really start working with a lender and then get a realtor.
Okay, in that order. Lender first, then the realtor.
You got to know what you can buy. If you call me, I'm going to say, are you pre-approved? Mm. And they'll say, well, I want to look at some homes first. I want to find the one I like. No. You go get pre-approved. There's criteria. More than what you make and more than what you think you can afford. I started working with one, and finally, after we looked at several homes and they found one they really, really liked, no, their situation didn't allow them to purchase. Not even purchase at that value, just to purchase altogether. Mm. So, and it has to do with have you been keeping records? Do you file taxes? Are you self-employed? Are you an LLC? Have you been in business long? Just all kinds of things. So that's where you start. And all things come into play. Real estate taxes, interest rates, your debt-to-income ratio. You know, you guys know more of that than I do. Mm-hmm. So, and then you have a realtor help you navigate the market. You start narrowing down, being able to differentiate between wants and non-negotiables. And then we look at, when people call and want 4 bedrooms, 2 or 3 baths, and they have a $200,000 budget, you can't get that. Not unless you want to renovate. Mm-hmm. So if you want to just move in, that's not available here.
Right.
So we're going to have to start looking at that. And you know, so then I can probably handle 3 bedrooms. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, really 2 will be okay. Yeah. So, you know, that's what a realtor helps you do. He doesn't just unlock the door. We help go through what you're really looking for and what you set expectations, what you can expect in your budget. And with a seller needs to understand the market and where their home sits in the market. And then what people are looking for, what you maybe can do to improve value. And please, again, work with a realtor before you start doing the things you think are going to add value to your home.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Talk to a realtor before you start to make those renovations, because like you said, there are specific things that actually add value.
And that people are looking for in our area.
So then why would you spend your money and your time on something else?
On something else that's not necessary. Sometimes a good cleanup job is sufficient. Mm-hmm.
Right.
and it will fit in that price category.
Yeah, that's a good tip. So you mentioned the Zillow Zestimate, and I want to. So you said at the beginning of the episode that you love the technology, like you love the apps.
I like the technology.
So I want to talk about some of the new technology that there is available that is actually helpful to the buyers and the sellers.
Yeah,
That's not the Zestimate.
That's not the Zestimate. So boo to the Zestimate, but let's hear about the other good stuff.
I always look at that and I'm like, bummer.
I know.
Yeah. I like the virtual tours. In fact, actually, I had a client that the whole reason he wanted to look at a home was because he could sit at night and go through the virtual tour. I really love, I've had several out-of-state buyers, and so FaceTime showings, those are awesome.
FaceTime showings, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. Good idea.
Yep, those are cool. And then there's, a lot, not people my age, but younger people, have mortgage calculators on their phones. Mm-hmm. They work with those. They're fast with that.
I do that all the time.
The mortgage calculator?
On our website, yeah.
I love the electronic signing tools.
Like a DocuSign.
So like a DocuSign. And I love that because sometimes buyers, you might have 3 buyers on a particular piece of property and they're all 3 in different states.
Right.
So we have to move through that. That's awesome. Let's see. Oh, here's something good and bad. What a house last sold for is public information.
Oh, yeah. You go on the county tax records and get that info, right?
And it shows up on Zillow.
Oh, it does?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, all public information or most public, and it's not always accurate, though.
Yeah.
So, again, you want a realtor. So, but especially with the escalated pricing, buyers can see what someone paid for a home and what they're selling it for 12 months later.
Yeah.
And they're looking and expecting improvements. And so that has been something that, I kind of say it like this. Buyers will accept some kind of organic appreciation.
Yeah.
But they're probably not going to swallow $100,000 when you've done nothing.
Yeah.
And so...
Or use the same photos on the sale. You know what I mean? Like nothing's been done. It's the same pictures as the sale.
Yeah. That makes me think of solar panels. I've had some past clients, that bought their homes and wanted to know whether solar panels would, add value to their home or be a deterrent. And we don't really have any data that supports that it adds value.
Okay.
But it's one of those things that if it's already there and you've got 0 electric bills, that might be something that would cause a buyer to choose between 2 homes, maybe choose that one. But again, we need to talk through what type of program you're using for your solar energy.
Okay. So that actually matters, which
it does
program.
matter.
I didn't even know there were different programs out there.
I didn't either.
That help with solar. So that's good. Interesting.
Yeah, when you have a buyer that has to assume a contract, you've added another issue to the sale. So that's people, unless that's going to be your forever home,
right?
You really need to talk that through.
Right. Yeah, good. That's a good thing to bring up is that there are other contracts. My family, we have a farm, and my dad worked with Verizon Wireless, and we have a cell tower and on a piece of our farm property. And so I guess that would be something would be...
Some people are afraid of that stuff.
Yeah.
And power poles, people are afraid of that stuff. So I don't know why solar power is safer, but...
Right.
All of that sort of thing. All of that comes into play.
I want to talk Because the virtual tours, I have an Airbnb property, and so I am interested on how the heck you guys set those up for this. So is there a contact? Is there somebody in the area that you use to help you with the virtual tours? Or how do you get those done?
Your professional photographer will do that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And they'll lay out a floor plan. I think it's Matterport, or maybe they use different ones, but you can actually walk through the property.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I think that would be, I would love to have just that for my own personal.
I was going to say, use a professional photographer for your Airbnb.
Yeah.
Yep, and do it. I love them.
Yeah.
I think I don't necessarily have to go through the virtual tour as much. You know, you kind of learn to look at pictures.
Yeah.
You learn to notice things in pictures. Like, wait, that's the back of that chair, and scroll back. That picture shows that chair, so that is actually the entrance to another room. I mean, it's kind of like online clothes shopping.
You find your orientation in the house by the furniture. I get that. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, here's my question. What's your final predictions for 2024 interest rates and the housing market? Fortune teller.
I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not a futurist.
This is her disclosure.
Yeah.
Here's a couple things to think about. And I think about these things, so they're good to think about. I think we're expecting interest rates to go down between 6 and 7%, or at least that's what I heard, after, by the spring market. Mm-hmm. That should be a comfortable rate. People should really begin adjusting to the norm. Remember, 2020, 2021, that was not normal. Yeah. That was a fluke. So 6 to 7%, those are healthy interest rates. The issue is the what do you call it? The high price of everything. Mm-hmm. That's the problem.
Because everything else is as high price as well.
Inflation is, and so the cost of living is so high. Mm-hmm. That's probably the worst thing. So moving forward, I don't see why housing prices would go down. I think the market might get stagnant for a little while. That's normal. Mm-hmm. That's not abnormal. Yeah. You know, it used to take, I think in Williamson County, or just Marion alone, 6 months to sell a home. Our listing contracts were always written for 6 months for a reason. Mm-hmm. So just because you're on the market for 60 days doesn't mean everything's falling apart.
Right. That's a good tip.
Some properties were 6 months to a year, depending on where they're at. Specialty properties, you're looking for a specialty niche market. So why would we think those would fly off the shelf anymore?
Right.
Again, that was a fluke. Yeah. Escalation clauses, all of that, it's just not normal. So I think we'll get normal. Our normal may be a little different than it was in 2017, but it's still going to be normal. So
I remember 2 years ago when, it was high, flying off the shelf, like you say, there would be multiple offers over asking price before the property would even go on the market. So that's definitely not going to happen again in 2024. So it's going to be more of a longer. So if a house is on the market for 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, it's not that something is terribly wrong with this home.
People always ask that too. They're
what's
like,
wrong
what's wrong with it?
Yeah.
No one bought it?
Well, that's what I think immediately. I'm like, that house has been sitting there a little too long, 120 days.
In there.
You've
got carpet in the bathroom.
Right.
Well, for you, carpet in any room.
Right. I love it. That's a good piece of advice. Yeah. So if that's what you would say.
There are still multiple offers on properties.
Okay.
So, it's not like there aren't. It's not as aggressive as it was. Okay. So, still, still property values are there. Mm-hmm. It's not that they're not. And sometimes, you know, you do get, I like to price properties competitive. So if you have a range here, a high here, and a low here, well, let's not price above the high. Let's be in between them, maybe even a little closer to the low, so you can get more people into your property.
Right.
So the more people that come look at the property, the chances are you'll have more than one offer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's not abnormal.
So if people were looking to find you after all of this is done, maybe they want to talk to you a little bit more about what we discussed or want to work with you, where would they find you?
Well, my phone number is on the back of my car. My office is on the corner of 13 and 37. It's all-in-one real estate company. Corner office. I actually have an LED sign with my face on it.
I've seen your
my phone
sign.
number on it.
Yeah.
I have no shame when it comes to putting out my face and my phone number. So, yeah. So that's where. Don't Google my name. It's a verb a lot of times. So don't Google my name. And but you can Google Tammy Kissing Broker, and you'll find me.
Okay. Awesome. And we'll include all your information in our show notes too, so people can just click on it and call you.
And before you call her, you need to get pre-approved.
Get pre-approved. Come to Farmers Bank and get pre-approved.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I love it.
Don't call me till you do.
Well, thank you so much for being on today,
thanks,
Tammy. This has
Tammy.
been fun to sit down with you.
Thanks.
Fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
I thought I'd be really nervous.
You did great.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. So, Jill, where do we go from here?
Be sure to check out our show notes for this episode, and also be sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our newsletter. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.